So today's, I think, the third full day in Tassie. We're in a town called Burnie. It's on the coast, west of Devonport. Only like 50 k's along the main road, but you know, it's taken us 3 days to get here because we've gone in and out a fair bit. And today we're weaving inland a lot. I've got a bit of on Google Maps I've placed about 5 stops, like made a route going inland and basically to all these waterfalls that are on that path. So gonna head inland today. This is the first one. It's kind of a man-made little, wouldn't say it's a waterfall, like a feature or something. But yeah, we're gonna go inland and should see some real waterfalls. There's on a map that I've got for gold locations in Tassie, one of the areas is that where the gold, alluvial gold is kind of where we're going through today. So I'll keep a lookout for that just to see if I see anything interesting. I probably won't. I think it's the river next to where one of the waterfalls is, and I don't really see any roads that get to that area, at least that my van would be capable of traveling along. So yeah, going inland today, going to see some waterfalls, and then we come back out towards the coast again at the end of today, assuming it all goes well. And I'm hoping to actually ride my bike down the hills back to the coast when we come back later today, because when we went inland a bit yesterday and then we came down towards the coast again to this platypus kind of sighting area, there's a really nice, smooth, windy road downhill that would have been awesome to ride, just to push bike down, but didn't know. So now that I've kind of got that in my mind, that when you go inland, you're just driving uphill, obviously, and then when you go to the coast, you're going downhill. Assuming it's similar to the road that we drove down yesterday, the roads later today should be really nice to ride my bike down. So that's a bit of a plan and something to look forward to today. You want to see these waterfalls, see if I can spot anything that looks like it might be signs of like alluvial gold, and then when we come back to the coast later today to ride my bike down the mountain, and Polo can drive the van either in front of me or behind me or whatever happens with that. So that's about it for the trip. The real estate, so the apartment, had some people come look at it on the weekend, had a few apply. Last night sent off my preferences to the real estate, so I think he's going to get in contact with them today, and hopefully by the end of this week or early next week, the apartment's going to be getting rented out, and so that gets rid of that kind of financial burden from me. And pretty much once that's sorted, and assuming nothing goes wrong, got the insurances and whatever, I'm very much kind of like free mentally and financially from my previous life up until this point. So it's almost like a new beginning once that apartment is leased out. Hopefully it doesn't take too much maintenance and mental effort so that I can focus on new things. So yeah, that's what's going on. I uploaded a video to YouTube last night. I accidentally missed a few kind of like videos that I recorded. So a couple of the bits that appear on that, they're a little bit disjointed just because I missed videos that I was referring to previously that weren't there. That's just because I had too many videos on my phone and I just missed a couple of them. So I'll try and work on that, but I mean, that's just how it is. These vlogs, they're not rehearsed, they're not planned out in advance. It's just me talking based on what's going on at the time. And so yeah, this is where we are in Burnie, just at like some kind of local natural gorge thing. Wouldn't say it's a gorge, it's just a drain pipe really that they've turned into a nice looking feature as it comes down this hill and comes here through this kind of pond. You wouldn't go swimming in it, and then it keeps going down here. Haven't actually walked this way yet. Polars representing middies. Comes down here, nice weaving footpath. And then yeah, it just keeps going off through the ferns, down the hill, I guess to the beach. Almost drove my van down here accidentally. The Google Maps was telling me to drive down here, but it's a footpath. So yeah, I'll do some more videos today, I assume, of what's going on. We're at the second waterfall of the day from the last video. So quite nice actually. Almost looks fake the way that it's kind of structured. But I think it's because it's that igneous volcanic rock. If you look down here, you can see like the hexagonal or pentagonal shape of all the rocks. And you get a better understanding of it just here. Apparently they form like that when like the surface layer cooled, and something to do with the structure of the atoms makes it form those kind of pentagon or hexagonal shapes. Or would we call it tetrahedral if there's 4 sides maybe. And then as it cools, it kind of maintains that shape downwards as it cools, and then you get these kind of structures that from side on look like little tubes poking out of the ground. And they're a bit weathered away on the waterfall, so you can't really follow them up the same. But yeah, you get a good view of it from those ones poking up just down there, how they're structured on the side. Yeah, quite a nice waterfall actually. I thought it, walking down from the car, which is up there, could only see that top part of it, and so it looked pretty average. But then you get down a bit further and you see this. It's quite good. Yeah. There's the sun just behind me, about 10 o'clock. Yeah, quite a nice place. Smells quite nice too because they've just mowed all the grass and it's got that nice, I like that hay farm kind of smell. Yeah. I've just gone down to that waterfall. There was an access point. So here's where I was kind of standing before, up on that viewing platform there. And you get a good look at the rocks here, how they've kind of like chipped away at the bottom. I guess from when it floods, the water just gets between the cracks and wears it out. But you get a good idea of that shape from this side here. So yeah, they're not, you know, they could be rounded, they could be 10-sided, they could be random, they could be going horizontally, but they're not. They're going vertically up like this. And as far as I'm aware, and you can get an idea of the bottom of them here too actually. And so this, as far as I'm aware, would be the perfect example of the igneous rock. Whether it's formed under the surface or on the Earth's surface, I don't know. I would assume on the Earth's surface, and then it's cooled from the top. Sorry, my sunglasses almost off. It's cooled from the top, and then as it's cooled, it kind of forms these long hexagonal tubes as it goes down. Here they're on a bit of an angle, not sure why. And yeah, that's how it looks here from the bottom. Quite a good place. I wasn't expecting this to be good. There's not many signs on the way here. It's quite hidden actually. There's only one sign when you get to the turning point, just 500 meters from the entrance. If it wasn't for Google Maps or the wiki camps that I'm using to kind of find these places, I wouldn't know that, you know, how to get to these places. So glad we found it. This is the first of a few waterfalls today. We'll see what the other ones are like. At the next waterfall now. Quite nice, but there's actually no footpath to get here. We had to kind of like jump the little water there, and it's a bit risky. If you fall, you're gonna get washed off the edge. And then it's all just prickle bushes, like The car's not that far that way. You can kind of just see the top of it over there. But there's no path here. You got to walk through all the grass and shit. Yeah, I'm not sure if Paola's going to try and get over here. I think she's given up, or maybe she's still thinking it a second go. But yeah, quite nice, but very difficult to get to. Wouldn't want to fall off there. If it's steep, you could probably jump in, but I'm not that brave. Unless my life were depending on it, I would not jump off that today. Unless I went down and saw how deep it was and thought it was quite deep, and someone else did it first, then I might go. But yeah, quite a nice waterfall. Very excluded. Maybe the council around here could just do a bit to mow the grass and stuff so people can access this one, but it might be a danger thing because there's no... You get to the high side of it from where the road is, so it's a bit risky, I guess, bringing people here. Anyway, that's the second waterfall. Paola's driving the car behind me. He's going to ride down this section, which should be downhill for a while. So, a bit of fun. Not that steep yet. Hopefully it's all downhill. Here's the next waterfall. Quite isolated, this one. Had to go on a bit of a dirt road to get here. Quite high up in the mountains now as well. Very nice. Feels not spooky, but kind of old. Very old, this waterfall. Got some really old ferns here as well. I assume they're old by how tall they are. Anyway, we've got a nice one around here, leaning into the waterfall, trying to get some sunlight. Those ones out there capturing it. Yeah. So here's the detention falls. Very nice looking waterfall. Very smooth, the way that water kind of curves down that rock face there. Looks quite nice. Don't see that too often at waterfalls. Very nice looking waterfall. Paola just made a good point that safety regulations here aren't so good. I gotta make sure I look at my actual foot and not my foot through the phone. You can see that that's a death jump right there, and this is the viewing place of the waterfall. You can see there used to be some kind of a fence here in the past, but maybe it's just not that popular anymore, or council's changed, or maybe this was maintained by like a community group with the members no longer in existence to maintain it. The water looks quite kind of brown as well, actually, as it comes off that part of the waterfall just there. Must be a lot of minerals that it's picking up on the way down for it to be maintaining that kind of coloration. There hasn't been any rain recently, so it's not due to kind of soil. Must be from the rocks, would be my best guess. But yeah, quite a nice place in the end that we found. Very excluded. There's only one parking space for the for the entrance. But yeah, worth a visit, I think. So we're in a town called Stanley now. We're on the top of just a big rock called the Nut. And so we walked up a bit of a steep walk for 15 minutes, and now yeah, we're just doing like the circuit around the top which is about an hour walk. Mostly just grass on top. A few trees here, first ones that we've come across really. There's a few species of birds that live up here. They've got some pretty interesting kind of strategies for survival. So they're mostly birds of prey. What did the signs say? They're all the chicklings, if we call them that, hatch in like the 3rd week of January, and then what happens, they get fed by the parents, who kind of do like a rotating shift every couple of days with bringing back the food, and they regurgitate to feed the chicklings. And then actually it's kind of interesting, once the babies actually get twice as big as the adults, and when that stage kind of happens in March or April, both parents just leave. They fly north, I guess, to mainland Australia somewhere, maybe even further, not sure. And they just abandon the baby, and over about 3 weeks the baby kind of, because it's so big, it uses that energy to grow a real set of feathers, and then it kind of just spreads its wings, practices using its muscles a bit, and then at some stage it has to just learn to fly, and then kind of go off on its own and learn to hunt and do everything on its own. So pretty interesting that was. Similar for the penguins too that we've come across, similar strategy of the parents, at some stage they abandon the chickling or their baby, and then they have to kind of just go off on their own and learn to survive. So some interesting strategies that we're seeing. We're going to go down to the beach later after this walk. There's some nice showers down there. Gonna go for a swim, have a shower, and then we're going inland. I forget the name of the place, but it's kind of towards the start of the Arthur River, and there's just some like mountain tracks and some interesting looking things to stay there, and some free campgrounds too, which will be nice. And I want to do some fishing. I've done a bit of fishing so far, haven't caught anything. Don't think it's anything wrong with my fishing. I think it's just the places I've been going. They've been too, I guess they're not really, they were kind of towards the mouths of the rivers near the ocean, and I don't really have bait targeting ocean fish. And then when I have gone to rivers a couple of times, they've been heavily kind of modified or tampered with by just infrastructure. So just those kind of concrete bridges that prevent the fish from swimming back upstream, and still in that area where the salt water mixes with the fresh water. So yeah, so we've finished up at Stanley Beach. We went and walked up that big rock that was when I filmed last time. Then we went in the water, like at the beach, had a shower, had some lunch, and now we've driven inland, and we've come to this pretty cool place. About to walk through it now. I can't remember what the name of the place is that we actually are, but it's got like a big sinkhole. I'll read this after the video because I can't read it while filming. But yeah, quite a cool place. Looks fake. Wow. That's all like water that's just trapped there. Looks like a lair of some evil character from a movie, and there's some monster living under that green stuff. This is cool. Look at this. You'd think that someone's made this. Wow. Yeah, someone's gone off and done something over there. Yeah, I'll read that sign, and maybe I'll make another video in a moment, but that's pretty cool. Got some bit rough getting down there. It's just like a hole in the earth, and then it's given out, water's filled up. I'll read that sign and figure out what they think the story is. But very cool. That's all water covered in like a green, very thick green kind of algae, stagnant, nowhere to go. Yeah, and the forest that we've come through is actually quite cool. It's similar to the same type of forest I had in an earlier video where I crushed the wood. Or maybe I didn't film that for the YouTube, but there was a video where I like stomped on a decaying piece of wood and put my foot straight through it in some like ex-logging area. And this forest is the exact same. There was a sign that said the name of what it's called, and I can't remember, something dendritic. Yeah, I don't know, just where all the stuff accumulates at the bottom and doesn't really decay, and you get all this moss layer. And it's to do with the main type of tree, kind of, they spread far apart and take all the sunlight, so you end up with all these ferns below it. Where it Trewutta arc. Okay. Anyway, we're going to go down and have a look at this. I'm going to read the sign, but that's what we've done since we were at Stanley. This is just to show a different view of that, of the sinkhole. Very cool place. Long way up. Oh, so the story was, when water falls through the atmosphere, it absorbs some carbon dioxide, and that makes the water slightly acidic. And then when it lands on the soil and seeps into the earth, a lot of what was below all of this rock here was limestone, and limestone dissolves in anything that's slightly acidic. So over a long time, the limestone was underneath these layers, and the limestone dissolved in the water, in the acidic water. So underneath all of this, over I guess millions of years, formed like a kind of just water, like an underneath a cave that was under the water, like in the cave that was full of water. And then eventually so much of the limestone eroded that it could no longer support the weight of all of this, and I guess it collapsed, and you can see that that's collapsed there, and lots of what did collapse would be now in here, which they say is about 20 meters deep. And you can see it's covered in a really thick layer of like green algae. Doesn't really look green on the camera, but that's quite fluorescent green almost. Looks a bit more real on the camera over there. You can see some spots here, there, and there, and a couple just here where the algae's been impacted. I reckon that's from people throwing rocks in from the viewing area just there. I'm the kind of person who would usually throw a rock into water, but at this place you can see that it's very still for a very long time. And even though naturally trees would fall in and rocks from this thing, it's not something that tourists should be doing, throwing rocks into a place like this. Try and keep it as it is to preserve it for as many people as possible to come and enjoy. If every tourist came here and threw a rock in, then you wouldn't even get this green layer on top. It'd be well and truly destroyed. So if that is from people throwing rocks, don't be one of them. Try and preserve these places. There's also a second cave that they mentioned on the sign. 2 caves were formed from the collapse of the because of the limestone being dissolved by the acidic rain. And I think the second cave must be over there, but they don't have a way to access that. We can only see the one which is filled with water. Apparently the other one doesn't get filled with water. So yeah, that's the close-up of this place, which I forget the name of it again, but very cool place indeed. It's the next day now since my last video. We're at the Julius something to do with Julius Walk or Julius Track or something like that it's called. Quite a nice track so far, like this. So we're doing the river walk, which it's a loop that says it takes 30 minutes. The last track that we did nearby said it was 15 minutes and it wasn't that long. So hopefully this is less than 30, and we might also do a different walking track which they have from the same parking spot, which is the sinkhole loop, which says it takes an hour. So we'll see how long this one actually takes. I don't think it will be 30 minutes because the footpath is quite nice, and I think they're expecting you to stop and look around for quite a long time. And often those time recommendations are for like elderly people who visit these places. So we'll do this one, and then we might do the sinkhole track as well. What else? We camped nearby. There was like a camping space that we stayed at for free, and we just had noodles last night. This morning cooked some scrambled eggs, put like tomato and onion through it and some cheese, and then had some baked beans as well on toast and a coffee. It's quite nice. No one else turned up to the campsite, so it's pretty private. It is a Thursday and it is in February now, so there won't be too many people travelling around on weekdays while we do this trip. I suppose on weekends the Tasmanians will go out and be at these places more often. But yeah, quite exclusive at the moment. We've just seen the same people in the car park actually here that we saw last night at a place, what was it called, Milkshake Hills I think. We saw them there. It wasn't even there actually, it was a sinkhole, a lake something that we saw them at, and we're seeing them again here, so they must have slept nearby too, not at the same place we were. But other than that, not really seeing the same people. It's very private too. You see a lot of people come over on the Spirit of Tassie and you think that there's going to be lots of people everywhere just by how full the boat is, but you don't really see a lot of people around once you get out of the main towns. It's very private at this time of year anyway, because yeah, it's not holiday time. Everyone's working away, paying bills, paying a mortgage, paying kids' school fees, and here me and Paola are quitting our jobs and travelling around for a while. So we're doing the sinkhole walk now at the Julius Day area. Quite a nice walk actually. We're maybe 20 minutes in, so I think about halfway. Lots of these kind of trees everywhere. I think they call them leechwood maybe. Lots of the tree ferns, if they're called that. I saw something, a sign a while ago saying man fern. Maybe they're called man ferns. Very tall. We've got a lot of light penetrating through the forest now. It looks quite nice. The track's quite, it's not super difficult to follow, but you got to be somewhat careful. We walked the wrong way before for about 30 meters and then had to come back. So you could see how in the wrong conditions you could get lost out here. And if it was wet, see this sign actually, I was going to keep walking that way, but the arrows actually telling me to walk down here. You could imagine if it was wet too, which it would be most of the year, that all of these roots would be super slippery, and all of the moss that kind of is the ground or carpets the ground for lots of the track. So very cool place, very quiet. No one's really here except us. We walked past one of the group before. See here again, like we've got to walk that way, and you only know from these signs, and they're getting covered by I don't know, some kind of fungi or moss now. Yeah, very fresh air out here. You just kind of hear some birds and the tree kind of skimming past at the tops of the trees. But down below here, everything's very still. You can see that time goes pretty slowly in these places. Maybe at the moment the insects are kind of up and about because it's summer, but you could imagine during winter, time moves very slowly in this area. Things happen over long spans of time. Paola read the sign before when I went to the bathroom, and apparently these leechwood trees, they only flower or reproduce after about 100 years or 120 years. So that gives you a sense of how slow things happen in this place. And there are sinkholes along the way. I think this is a sinkhole right here that we're coming up to. So they've been all over the place. I assume it's the same formation, or the same explanation for how they form as has been the other sinkholes on our track, which has been that there's an ancient kind of limestone layer underneath. The rainwater picks up some carbon dioxide as it falls, becomes slightly acidic, penetrates through the ground, dissolves some of that underlying limestone, and then because it dissolves, you've now got like a water kind of void underneath the surface, and then over time the material from the surface starts to fall into those cavities, and then it loses its structural integrity and collapses in on itself. And we're coming up to another sinkhole just over here, I reckon. It's hard to, say why do you know it's a sinkhole and not just like the shape of the hills. I guess it's more of a sudden drop. Oh, and you can see some, is that quartz just there? Haven't seen any of that on this walk yet. Just covering it. All the stuff growing over the top. What is that? Is that the lichen stuff? Yeah, so there's probably a sinkhole just there. And I think the river must be, there's a river that runs near here, that must be down through there. You can kind of hear it in the distance, I think. So yeah, quite a nice walk. Very old looking trees and plants, and we're the babies in here really. It's not many things younger than us in this place. Not the things that are standing anyway.